I can touch it.
Okay.
And put the water really close to the, and then Glenn, you could probably hold up the water. Okay, can you put it on your side? Because I can't hold that up.
Okay, you're live.
Okay.
Ini naimoma. Ignash Winiksha. Wishkam. Katams. Ignash Winiksha. Siapoman. Glen Pinkham. This is a beautiful day. My family, my relatives, my people. I ask that the Creator lives strong in your heart, that when you walk, your words will be true. My English name is Glen Pinkham, and my Wishkam name, my Yakima name is Gutums. I'm very honored to be part of this presentation.
And Nix Klawa Eninanoma, Ignash Nuiksha, Southern Tasistas, Heyesenyo, Ignash Nuiksha, Yvette Pinkham. The afternoon is good. My family, my relatives, I feel honored to be here today. I feel honored to be asked to do this today. My name is Yvette Pinkham. My Southern Cheyenne name is Heyesenyo. And today I'm dressed in honor of my father. My father's Yakima, his Ralph Jim. And this is what we wear in our longhouses. And I don't have the full clothing on, but out of respect of today's topic, our traditional medicines, my elders always said that when we talk about sacred teachings and we talk about sacred traditional teachings, that we always wear our traditional clothes and that we respect our ancestors and we call on them and remember them and that we honor our language and our sacred foods. And so today we're going to talk about traditional medicines, and also Glen's going to start by talking a little bit about what he does for Mother Nation.
I'm a outreach coordinator, and what I do with that is I find Native homeless people in the city of Seattle and King County area. What we do with Mother Nation is we approach with a holistic approach, is that we help them not just get into housing, but we help them put their home into their heart with prayer. We put medicine in their mind with good words through talking circles, and we currently do family talking circles with a number of families each week. Before the lockdown, we were doing traditional sweat lodges, and we had what they call I had two different men talking circles, a men's talking circle and a young men's talking circle, who was 12 to 19 years old. And we talked about how you give respect to yourself by giving respect to the Creator, giving respect to the child, giving respect to the lady, to the woman in your lives, the women in your lives, in a traditional way. The other groups that I work with, the nonprofits, I worked with as a sweat elder with the Seattle Health Board for a number of years with people in treatment. I also worked with, I still work with Chief Seattle Club, whose primary goal is to help the Native homeless in the city of Seattle. And I did traditional sweat lodges there. I did talking circles there. We also do with United Indians of all tribes in Seattle. We do sweat lodges with them with a place called Labatea Youth Home. That's for the ages of 18 to 24-year-olds, young men and women who are homeless. And they not only give them a place to stay, but they help them we have our sweat lodge there. Part of them participate with our sweat lodges, and they get on the site tutoring, mentoring about the teachings that I've learned from my Yakima elders.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Glen. So I'm the cultural services resource person, cultural services person for Mother Nation. And also talking circle facilitator. We have an elder. We meet on Tuesdays. It's the Tuesdays Women's Healing Circle. And so that is, if you're interested, I have some contact information, and that's open for all women. And we're all healing from something, you know, either mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. And so we have our elder. She comes on Zoom and she talks a lot about her wisdom on healing. And that's on Tuesdays. And then before the COVID, we were doing women's sweats twice a month. We're located in Seattle, Washington. And so the Muckleshoot tribe, they have a sweat lodge that for our South King County ladies in Muckleshoot. And then for the North King County ladies, we had one at Daybreak Star, and that was on a monthly basis. And we have mentees, and our mentees, they help with as fire keepers, fire starters, and our mentees in our women's healing circle. So some of them do essential oils. We help our unsheltered relatives and families. And so some of them become our mentees, and they have powerful personal stories to share. And so I just want to honor them and the good work that they're doing, and us helping them and getting their life back together. And we all work together, and that's our Native community. We love our community, and we always believe in our community, and we want good things for them. And so with that said, I'm going to switch over to our PowerPoint. And so if you just give me 1 second here, and I'm going to switch over. Oh, whoops. Okay. Okay, so we're starting our traditional medicine, and we shared our introductions. And I'm gonna go to the next slide. And this is our journey together. And we're just gonna share some holistic self-care teachings in regard to our traditional medicines. We just ask, be open to learning and hearing new teachings, because there's so many beautiful nations in our world that we all have our own teachings, and all those teachings are sacred. And the teachings I'm going to teach is from Southern Cheyenne, and also ancestry with the Sioux tribe, Sioux Nation. And let's just have a great experience. And so just a little background on spirituality and our sacred truths. Science tells us that our ancestors' DNA lives in me. And our ancestors say that we walked this earth before me, and they know the spirit journey. And my ancestors walk with me, therefore I'm never alone. My ancestors pray for me that I might learn Pushama teachings, Creator's lessons in this life. And Pushama and Yakama means great grandfather. Spirit light gives me the strength to live, to go on, to honor my ancestors' sacrifices and live a life of learning and teaching. And so our ancestors and Creator and Pushama were told that our ancestral truths is about what are we learning in this life? What can we learn mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically? And how can we use that to help another person in their journey and to help us continue in our journey? And another teaching is that I am good medicine. It says, I am sacred, body and spirit. I am irreplaceable. I am meant to be in this world. I have a place in this world. I lived in the spirit world with Pushama, Creator. I have great meaning and purpose in this world. And I honor my ancestors by caring about myself and family and our community. And these are the teachings of our ancestors. And teaching was given to me in the Longhouse in the Washet. and also in Christian faith as well. And there's a lot of good medicine out there. You know, there's just not one place to get good medicine. There's good medicine that comes in all places, and wisdom comes in all places. And so these are some of the sacred medicines that we're going to touch on. So we have water, tobacco, sage, cedar, sweetgrass, wild rose, ione, devil's club, angelwood, sacred foods, salmon, huckleberries, deer, roots, and many, many more. As we know, there's sacred foods in all tribes and sacred medicines in all tribes, all the way from the South America and all over the world. And today, because of my own teachings, I'm just going to touch on this area. And the Devil's Club is a northwest coastal medicine, and Angelwood's from the southwest. And I just like to talk about the wild rose is also from the Yakima Nation, and this one's the wild rose. And here's the tobacco, sage, and our cedar bowl, and some more sage. And I just like to show a little demonstration and share a creation story. Yeah, and Glen, would you like to comment on a little bit about what was shared?
My main topic, because of the shortness of this presentation, is going to be how we use these medicines with the sweat lodge. And I'll start with tobacco. It'll be the first one that I'll talk about. When people are I let people know that when you come to a sweat, that you're coming there to learn, to understand what you need to let go of. And you're going there to learn to understand what you need to hold on to. These things are specific towards like when I was working with treatment. I encourage people to understand that they were a sacred person before they started using drugs and alcohol. And through the sweat, through using tobacco, we are using tobacco as an offering, like how they say in a lot of other religions, especially English teachings. So what I'm saying this is that when it comes to tobacco, I have the people that come to the sweat take some tobacco and let the Creator know, offer it to the fire, because in the sweat, the fire changes the wood. And the offering of the tobacco, I'm telling them they're not worshiping tobacco. They're just using it as an offering to the fire, because the fire is changing the wood. We call that ilquats. And the woods, when it changes through the heat, the wood of the medicine that goes into the rocks, we call those red rocks. The rocks changed, they get red, they get hot. And when you take them into the sweat and you give the tobacco to the fire, that medicine when you put it to your mind, you put it to your heart and you give it to the fire, those rocks will remember what you're praying about. And sometimes people come into the sweat lodge and they realize, I didn't know I was going to pray about this. I didn't realize I was going to remember this. That's because the offering talked to their spirit, talked to their heart. And tobacco is a true medicine that came from time immemorial, as well as the other medicines we're going to talk about. And this medicine is going to help people to understand who their ancestors are, even if they sweat in a different lodge, different teachings, even if they sweat with people who are different from where they come from. Maybe because I have people who sweat who come from the Southwest, people who come from Canada, people who come from the Midwest. And I turn this back over to Yvette with our next sacred food.
Yeah, I just realized something. Before we start, we usually have a prayer and we usually smudge. And just want to take a few minutes to remember our ancestors and remember our elders. And so we like to take a moment to have have our medicine to smudge. Dallas, can you bring me some matches?
Can you bring some matches up here, Dallas? Dallas is his Yakima name is Plushwatash, and Plushwatash means white cloud.
Matches.
And what he got his Yakima name, his Wishcom name when he was about 10 years old. And we base our Yakima names on people that remind us of somebody, our elders. My mom and dad said, Dallas has this personality, this character of this. And they would talk about it, and they talked it over with my other aunties, and they says, hey, he comes and he's constant and he's there like a white cloud. And he brings shade, he brings water, and he brings life. So I'm just sharing that with you.
His name is Plushwatash. So I'll call him Plushwatash. Sometimes I'll say Plushwatash Tuktu. That means hurry up. We need stuff. But we all say thank you. Thank you for it all.
As we give this
cedar,
the medicine from the cedar to you, we are passing on good thoughts to you, good energy, strong energy from our elders from the beginning of time. And that this medicine will be here when we're long gone, and it will be here for all times, as it was for our ancestors in the beginning, and it'll be for our people 1,000 years from now.
Yeah, so we just like to share this good energy, this positive energy, and remember what is sacred, that you are sacred and irreplaceable, and that you are needed. We need you in Indian country. So just wanted to share that. And also, thank you for allowing us to share that medicine and to smudge with you. And so what I like to show in Southern Cheyenne country, in our Sioux country, when we talk about our sacred medicines, we have, I'm just going to talk about the 4 medicines at this moment, tobacco. So we received this tobacco from, you want to hold up there. So this is I just want to share our sacred tobacco and share our cedar. So we have cedar here.
And what we were taught, and with respect to our ways, with this,
and sweetgrass, and with sage. And there's all kinds of sage: California sage, Montana sage, Yakima sage. And this is California white sage. And so I'll let Glen share what he's going to share, and then our water.
with respect to the cedar, in our teachings, when I was taught by my grandma, she was 103 years old when she passed. Her name was Ida Nason. And she told me, she said, when you want to use cedar, when you want to brush somebody off with cedar with an eagle feather, what you do is remember that there's cedar from a young tree. And what a cedar from a young tree symbolizes to our people is that a new beginning, like a young cedar tree. And you can brush people off. I used to use that with people who are about to get married, with a baby's new life. That's what that uses for. Now, if you take cedar from a big tree, or a tree that's been around for a while, you take that cedar and you brush people off. That helps people to let go of an old life. Some people have lost a loved one, so we brush them off with cedar from an older tree. When you're in today's modern times, because and this, I'll share this teaching real quick, is that in today's modern times we have new ceremonies that we go through. And one of the main ones that people understand a lot is graduating from middle school, graduating from high school, graduating from college. And so that's an old life. So now we use cedar to brush people off who just graduated from a school of whether middle school or high school. They're letting go of an old life in a good way. So that's one of our modern uh, interpretations for modern ceremonies.
Mm, thank you. Thank you. And then we have water, sacred water.
And this, and everybody has this, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
You want to talk about
okay, now, hey Dallas. Hey Dallas. Well, anyway, he'll be here in a minute. When it comes to water, I'll share something with you. In our Yakima way, we give respect to water whenever we drink, whenever we eat. Right before we eat our meal, we say choosh, and we lift our water, and we tell the Creator, thank you for this water that gives life to everything. And when we're done eating, all together we get a little bit of water in our cups, and we say choosh, and we say thank you again for the meal that we just had. And in a modern interpretation, I'll give you something that people can relate to. It's because we're all from different parts of the world. Is you guys heard that saying, my cup runneth over? So imagine I have two cups here, and people say, oh, this cup, what is this cup? And they say, oh, some people say that's half full, and some people say, no, that's half empty. And so you get pretend there's two cups here, and one's half full, one half empty, and a way to have them understand that they are seeing the same thing without changing. You change their point of view. And so what I would do is have two cups, and I'd pour it in the other cup and fill it up, and my cup runneth over. So now they see a cup that's full. And that's how you should look at your traditions. You can add the same thing to your language. You can add the same thing to your dress, your regalia. If you're into powwow, you can add this into your traditional foods, which is to share. When our teachings, you share that food. You can add this to your teachings when it comes to learning the goodness of other tribes. So you share your teachings like what we're doing today.
Okay, thanks, Glenn. And so I just like to go into transition a little bit into storytelling, and just want to share what was shared to me about our tobacco and about cedar and sage and sweetgrass. And I like to start out talking about in the beginning in this creation story. And in this creation story, Creator had created all the animals and the plants, and he was getting ready to create the two-legged. And so he gathered all the plant people. He was going to have a meeting. And in that meeting, all the plants that he ever created in the world were all in this great council meeting. And he stood up and he says that we are preparing for the two-legged. The two-legged are going to come to this world, and they're going to go through great hardships, and they're going to go through great sorrow, and they're going to go through great learning, and they're going to go through great happiness and great joy. And all these teachings are going to help them and bless them, because there's going to be a time when they come to this world and they leave the spirit world. They're going to come back to the spirit world, and I'm going to ask them, what did you learn? What is it that you learned in this life, this gift of life that was given to you? And so he said, because of that, of their hardships, he said he's going to send messengers. He's going to send medicine to the world. And he asked, who will give up their life for the two-legged? And that is all that was said. And all the plant people sat there and they listened. And then the first plant spirit stood up was tobacco. Tobacco came forward and said, Creator, I will give up my life for the two-legged. And he stood next to Creator. Sorry. Next, it was all silent and quiet. And the next one to stand up was Sage. Sage says, Creator, I will give my life for the two-legged. And stood next to Tobacco. And next in line that stood up was Cedar. Cedar says, Creator, I will give up my life. And the last person, the last spirit to stand up was Sweetgrass. Sweetgrass is female, and that's why we braid her hair. And she came forward and says, Creator, I will give my life. Now, Creator had asked for 4 people, 4 spirits, and the 4 came forward. And as they stood next to him, he spoke to them in front of everybody and says, because you have given your life, you will be remembered for all time and eternity. I will teach the two-legged how to take care of you. I will teach the two-legged how to smudge you, how to burn you, and what ceremonies that it will be used for, and how each of you will be blessed with different properties. And since tobacco was the first to stand, tobacco is our most sacred traditional medicine and is used. I have seen it used in marriages, traditional marriages. I've seen it used when a baby's born to bless. I've seen it used when a person is sick and they pray over them. And I just want to share my son. He went, when he was in college, he went to Peru for a study abroad. And he specifically wanted to go with the indigenous tribe down there. And he asked what their sacred medicines were. And the first they mentioned was tobacco. Tobacco is their sacred medicine. And they told him a creation story. And he came back and told us that. And the second, I just wanted to share that. And that tobacco is used that to ward off negative energy and to bless. And that sage, as I mentioned before, there's sage all over, and that is to invite positive energy. Sometimes we're going through a hard time, and when we burn it, that smoke attaches to the negative energy, and you can let it float outside or wherever you're at, and allow the smell, allow it to teach you, allow it to go into your heart, allow it to go in your mind and teach you the positive energy. And for cedar, cedar also creates positive energy. And cedar also wards off the negative energy. Oh, Dallas.
Hey, Dallas, you lost our reception.
Oh, no. Oh, right here. Sorry about that. And so cedar also creates positive energy and wards off negative energy. And then sweetgrass. Sweetgrass, I guess, depends on your teachings, but I was told can ward off negative energy, invite positive energy, and just has a very special property and power to it. And today we burn these, we smudge with these. There was a time in American history when it was outlawed, and it was not only forbidden, but if you ever read the true history, it talks about how there are people who were put in stockades or how they were murdered for practicing, for just smudging. That's what they did to them, for smudging. And they outlawed it. And of course, I think it was in the 1860s when they did that, or 1880s. And what had happened was not everyone, they couldn't enforce it with everyone. So a lot of tribes still was able to practice their sacred medicines and their sacred teachings. But I know for the Sioux tribe and Lakota, that's what they did to them. They terrorized them for practicing their own medicines. And it wasn't until I think in 1978 that they lifted that ban. And in one of my other presentations, they said it was like almost 100 years when they finally lifted that ban, and that we could finally practice our medicines. And I always share that, this is Creator sent. This is what Creator sent to our people, to our indigenous people here. And some tribes call this land Turtle Island, and I respect that. And that we were always here. Creator meant for us to be here, and He gave us our sacred medicines. And these sacred medicines are healing. They're so healing. They're presented, and their medicines are sacred because they come from spirit light and Creator. And that's why we have these. That's why we smudge. And I just wanted to share that no law could take that away from our people. It's here forever and will be here forever. And we will go on, and our people will go on, and our medicines will go on. So I just wanted to share that creation story from our tribe. And yeah, and I'm gonna, Glenn, did you want to share anything? And I'm just gonna
yes,
kind of transition over to the PowerPoint.
What I'd like to share is that when we say no law, we're saying man's law does not supersede the Creator's law. The Creator gave us these teachings from the beginning of time, and man's law can't take that away. The medicines that you have from your people, they're also, they call them different things. They call them, I've heard them been called sacred foods, true foods. We call them true foods over in Yakima. Spiritual foods, I've heard people call them spiritual foods, just specifically people who are in the military, who come back, who are combat veterans. My dad was a master gunner sergeant in the Korean War, and he saw the truthfulness of other things there, and it took the true foods here when he came home to help him get become healed. And with respect to the sweat, I'll give you an example. What they did for my dad after being in combat, they put him up in the mountains in our area, a place called near Mount Adams, and they gave him a rifle, they gave him a sleeping bag, and for the first approximately 3 months, no one was able to speak with him, and they gave him a fishing pole, and he'd have to live off the land. And after about going into the 4th month, he was allowed to be visited by 3 main, call them groups of people, couple you want to call them religions, whatever you want to call them, but they're the Shaker faith people would come and pray on my dad for one night. And then the second night, the people from the medicine dances, they would come pray on my dad. And on the third night, the people from Washit, which in English means 7 drums, they would pray on my dad. And they did that for a period of another couple months. Right around the 5th month, what they did is they allowed my dad's mom, his grandparents, and everybody else to come and visit him. Because what he did is he learned how to change his relationship with sound. Our medicines that we have here, when it comes to the sweat, the medicines, when you hear the rocks that are red hot and you put cedar on the rocks in the sweat, it makes that sound, that crackling sound. That's what you call a true sound. And that medicine, when the smoke comes off the rocks, that smell, that's the true medicine. And it touches your spirit. And then you're able to do is that the medicine from the rocks, the medicine from the heat, all come together by this medicine from the water. And you pour that water on the rocks with the medicine that's already been burning there. And it complements your body. It strengthens your body, helps your body to heal. And then it helps you to listen, not just to hear, but especially to listen to right here, to your heart, your spirit. And what they did for my dad up there in the mountains is I'll share this in another way after my wife. Do you want to share anything else?
No, go ahead.
Okay, I'll give you another story with relation to that my dad went through. See, when he shot a rifle in the service, it was to take a life of another person, and that's what that sound taught him. But when he went to the mountains and he shot a deer to eat, and he did that a few more times and did that over a period of time, the sound of shooting a rifle changed. Now the sound of treating the rifle was to feed his body medicine. We call that Yamish in Yakima, deer, the sacred foods. But we're not highlighting that, but I'm giving an example of a sacred food in Yakima, Yamish. And what you eat, we give thanks for their bodies. We call them feasts. And during those feasts, we have sacred foods that we acknowledge, the roots and the berries, the wilno, the mummin. We have several of these. The piache, the waptma, which is elk, medicine from elk. We recognize all those foods. And what my dad was able to do during the several months, he let go of that sound of taking a life. And through the sounds of traditional songs by using uh, sage during a song, using cedar of a song, blessing, giving that fire, the tobacco, even when you get ready to go into the sweat, you put those all together, that ceremony. And each time they did that, I would say it like this: it takes a needle out of your heart, takes a needle out of your brain, takes a needle out of your back where that pain is. It helps it to heal. And that's what our medicines do. And gradually over a period of time, you're whole again, you're healed. And then this medicine, the sage with the tobacco and the cedar and the water, the rocks, the teachum, the land, the rocks will speak to you in a different way because we can listen now. We can listen when our body's healed versus when we're suffering. Then you're able to, an old expression, live your life strong. Don't just survive. These medicines would, like I taught our ancestors, our medicines were to help our people live our life strong, live our life sacred. And that's what the sweat helped us to do. It taught us to live our life strong, to respect all things in a sacred way, in a ceremonial way, in a positive way, in a healthy way. And when you share that with people through singing certain songs at certain times, we have certain songs when a person gets their Yakima name. We have a certain song when a person goes home to our people, go home to the Creator. We sing those songs only for that. We have certain songs that we sing when we do a feast, and so forth. And these medicines, the cedar, the sage, they all come together, sharing that medicine in a good way. And during those, when you change, your body changes because your body will change as you grow. And like I was sharing with you.
Hey, Glenn, thank you for sharing that. You think you could talk about the wild rose? That's one of the Yakima medicines and how we use that in the sweat.
Okay. On the wild rose, we use the wild roses for protection. It represents purity. Only pure things from the Creator can pass it. So what we do is we boil the wild roses in water next to the fire, because the water heats up and it takes the medicine out of the wild roses. And we use that wild rose in our water inside the sweat. We also pour it on our head right before we go into the sweat to symbolize that we want to change and take the protection from the wild rose. We drink the wild rose when we go in. We don't just drink water, we drink wild rose tea. The wild rose tea goes into our body to physically protect us from negative things, from letting negative things that may have unintentionally came in. I mean, knock on wood, in a nice way. I'm trying to say this in a good way to you, to push out the negative. Some of us sometimes have negative liquids we put in our water. We call that alcoholism. The negative, the wild rose. We have other ones called ion. You drink that medicine tea, the Indian tea, that sacred tea, and it pushes that out of your body. It replaces it, just like the water. The water will strengthen you because it gives life to everything. And the wild roses in our way was to remind us how fragile we are, and that we can have strength from have an open mind and open heart to being fragile. And because we are compared to the Creator, compared to our elders, compared to our those who stand with the Creator, our ancestors, they too pray for us. They say, "That's my great grandnephew right there. That's my great grandniece there, and I want them. I'll pray for them, Creator. How can I reach them?" And the Creator will say, "You talk to them like you talk to me. Pray to them." And so when we use the wild roses, when we use ion, when we drink that, we are more in touch to the ground, Mother Earth. We are more touched to the medicine that the Creator gave us. And then you know what happens in the sweat, in our lives, when we drink our teas in a respectful way? We can hear the good words in a respectful way from our elders, from the Creator. And a generic word that they call that is prayer. When people pray, what they're doing is they are not just listening, they're not just talking to the Creator, but half of what you do, I'll say half of praying is listening. And the best way to listen is with the wild roses that we put on the water, the 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 sage that you would have from your country, the tobacco that you have from your country, the cedar that you may have from your country, whatever traditional medicines that you have from your country, it helps you to listen to that. And some people interpret that through what they call dancing. Today we call it powwow. And in our services we call it washing. We call it seven drums. We dance on the floor, which is just for the washing.
Thank you, Glenn. And I also like to bring up salmon. It says we can honor salmon as one of the sacred foods in Yakima and the Northwest coastal tribes. It says we can honor the teachings from the salmon spirit, having resiliency, always learning, staying on the path of perseverance against great obstacles. And our people in the Columbia Basin, the Yakimas and the Warm Springs and Umatillas and all the other coastal tribes, along the ocean, salmon's considered sacred, and they're considered the salmon people. And on the Columbia River, before the dams, before they built the dams, the Yakimas and all the tribes around there say that there is so much salmon people that you could actually walk across the river on top of them, because there was so many that came back to spawn. And the salmon is to strengthen us. The Creator gave the salmon people that blessing. If you look at a dietary, salmon is high in omega-3s and high in all kinds of antioxidants and nutrients. And Creator gave us that. Creator blessed us with the salmon people. And also that they live in two worlds. They're born in freshwater world, and they make their way as adult into the salt water. So they live in two worlds. And when the time comes, they swim back to their birthplace. And not only are they swimming back, but they're swimming against the current. And you got to be super strong to do that. That is so amazing. Imagine the kind of strength you have to swim against the current and to find your homeland where you were born, to go all the way back into that stream. And for me, I just have a special place in my heart for the salmon people. They taught me resilience. A lot of us, we live in two worlds, whatever world that is, as we see it. And our traditional world and maybe the non-traditional world. However, we want to see that teaching and that learning, and that we're blessed with resiliency, and we can learn a lot from the salmon, and that they're always staying on that path. They just do not give up. They just keep going and keep going until they reach it. And once they reach their destination, they lay their eggs so that another generation can be born, and the cycle can start all over again. And it's just a beautiful teaching and a beautiful way of life. And I just love that it teaches us that we can survive through great obstacles, that we are blessed with that spirit. Okay. And so I just wanted to share that about the salmon people. Glen, did you want to share something?
Yeah, I'd like to share something with you. And Yvette touched on it. My grandma told me this. Grandma had this, and then I heard this from other elders in the sweat. They said that this is the world of the Yakimas. And they were talking to me. They said, door. You see that door over there? That door is the non-Yakima world. You go through the non-Yakima world and you share the best part of the Yakima world with the non-Yakimas. Then you learn the best part of the non-Yakima world. And you come back to the world of the Yakima, the door of the Yakimas, and you share it with your Yakima people. And that's living in two different worlds. And I like what our salmon does, our salmon people. They start in freshwater, they a small beginning, and then they make a little fry, and they make their way past all those turbulence, the turbines of the dams, and they make it to the rivers and to the oceans. The oceans, they grow in the salt water, a different world. Then they bring their strength back up the Columbia River, just like what we do when you walk and when you want to learn the best part of your tradition, whether you're from Lakota country, whether you're from the Dene country, wherever your people are from, you learn the best part of your culture and share that with your people, and share it in a good way with other people, your teachings, because sometimes other people aren't able to get any of the teachings from their people. And when you do that, you're giving them medicine. You're giving them medicine from your heart. You're giving them medicine with your words, and you're giving them medicine from time immemorial. That's always been there. That lives like the Nandians say, it lives in our DNA. But we say it lives in your spirit. It lives in your blood. My dad and my grandpas told me you have two very powerful gifts that you can always have, that you need to share, and where they come from. One, it comes from your blood, those things, and that's what we were talking about earlier. But the other thing that you get to share, that in modern times, with respect to going to a different world, going to education, graduate from high school, graduate from college, is get a job. It's whatever it is that job is, to live a healthy and sober life, whatever that life is. It's called dreams, to live your dreams, make your dreams into reality. And I forgot how to say that in Yakima. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you.
Yeah, we'll share it next time. And this is just from the Yakima Nation Museum. This is what the Sweat House would look like.
We're down to 6 minutes.
Okay.
Can I share some
And I just wanted to, we're getting close to closing. I just wanted to share a couple of thoughts with you. You are the dream the old ones dreamed. Your ancestors' DNA live in you. You are resilient. You are brave. You are strong. You are courageous. And these are the teachings. You know, I remember having these teachings when I was in the Longhouse. And even for my grandma, Southern Cheyenne. And, you know, our people, the Southern Cheyenne, we've had to live through land relocation. Our original ancestors lived in Colorado, northeastern Colorado. And then we got moved down into Oklahoma. And we also have a history of terrorism. And we have a history of genocide. And when we finally made it in Oklahoma, you know, our people still lived on. My grandma, she had contracted TB, but she survived. And she lived. And she had 10 children. And I'm a beneficiary of her resilience, of her courageousness to live, and her braveness to live and be strong. So I always like that saying, you are the dream the old ones dreamed. And so in closing, this is our information from Mother Nation. You know, on behalf of Mother Nation, thank you for this opportunity. And you have a blessed day. And Glen's information is on the left and my information is on the right. I'm Cultural Services Coordinator, and our phone number is in the middle. And Glen, like to share.
I also want to thank Native Wellness Institute for allowing us this honor to be part of this amazing hour that you have. This hour of power. It's amazing what you do. You reach so many people. You go into their homes with medicines from all kinds of speakers. I have so much respect for that. You're able to use modern technology and help people grow in their home. You use this amazing technology on your when they do come back to conferences, which we've been so honored to be part of. The the one that you have in the fall, the medicine gathering that you put on in Oregon, Gratian, Oregon. We're grateful to be part of that. We're grateful to attended your amazing conferences in San Diego. It's a beautiful. You have beautiful people, beautiful and strong people who who run those workshops. And I know it comes from the top. I know it comes from you, Jolene, and the things that you believe in from your people that you brought together. Bringing all these people together is so amazing, and I can't say that enough.
Yeah, and I remember years ago in Dallas, Plashwatash, when he was in high school, him and I went to a 3-day Native wellness for the youth. And that was at Chamawa. And that was for 3 days. And we also got to see the canoe journey. We got to go to Nike. The kids got to go there. And it was like an athletic camp too. So there's swimming and volleyball and walking and all kinds of good things. And then the kids got to share their good medicines, their talents. And it was just beautiful. So Native Wellness Institute, you know, I raise my hands to you and all the good medicine that you do for our people. for our young people and for all of us in Indian country. Thank you.
We still have a couple more minutes here, looks like. You know what? If I may say something, I've noticed, because I contract with Chief Seattle Club out of Seattle and United Indians of Seattle, United Indians of all tribes. And we also work with the Cowlitz tribe. And I know that people have heard a lot of good things. They'll say, hey, you know, I heard this from the Native Wellness Institute. This guy said this. So I know that you touch other people in different ways, because I've heard them say it. They've been touched by your speakers, and they've they've seen it. Or they would say, can you tell us about Native Wellness Institute? So the nonprofits do come together in a good way, just like the tribes come together in a good way, and just like our ancestors came together in a good way. And so I'm grateful that you can help us put these people together, all our different tribes, all our different people with this technology.
Yeah, I remember when you guys came over across the water over at Suquamish, over there at the to teach Suquamish tribe. That was wonderful. That was so awesome. And yeah, so we're just grateful for Native wellness and all the good things that they do for our people.
If it looks like we're getting close now, and
Yeah,
we ask that the Creator will help you be strong in your home. We ask that the Creator will keep your body, your immune system up, so that you be able to look after your elders in your home. That you'll have good savvy and be well informed to take care of your elders in your home. Protect them from that coronavirus. That you'll do the things from the teachings of other tribes and disinfecting, all that stuff, to keep your home a sanctuary for the elders in your community, and that you be strong for them as our ancestors were strong for us. Thank you very much.
yeah. Okay. And little plug in for Mother Nation for all of our staff. And thank you, Linda, for recommending us. And thank you for the hard work that our staff does. Our staff still goes out and delivers medicine, still goes out and delivers food, still goes out and smudges are those that are in need of smudge and find housing. And, you know, the Creator's work is never ends. And I'm grateful to be a part of Creator's work, and that he helps us push us through and gives us the strength. And so I appreciate that. And so, yeah, just give a thanks for all of our workers at Mother Nation.